Mangoes. Lourdes' kitchen blazed with sunlight and smelled lush with the aroma of tropical fruit. At the counter, a small woman sliced up mangoes with a knife. "Mom," said Lourdes, "this is Oscar Indigo. Oscar, this is my mom." "Hello, Mrs. Mangibot," said Oscar. "Hi, Oscar. I'm cutting up some mangoes for breakfast," said Mrs. Mangibot. "Don't ask how I got them. It's an international secret." She winked. "Want one?" Oscar had never had a mango before. They seemed to come in a little bowl of their own rind. "What do I do?" he asked when she handed him one. "Spoon it up out of the skin. Aren't they good?" "This," Oscar exclaimed once he tried one, "is the most delicious thing I've ever eaten." "These aren't even the best. You should go to the Philippines. Try them fresh," said Mrs. Mangabot. "Lourdes and I will take you next time we go, and you'll see. For now, I'm off to work. Bye." Oscar couldn't help but laugh at how different Lourdes was from her bubbly mother. "And now," Lourdes said, once they'd finished the mangoes and her mom had pulled out of the driveway, "about your little habit of batting with your eyes closed." "I said it before. I don't do that," said Oscar. "My eyes are always open." "We'll see about that," said Lourdes. "Come on." She tucked a bat under her arm, grabbed a glove and ball, and opened the back door for Oscar. Lourdes pulled an old soccer net behind Oscar like a backstop. Then she walked far enough away so that it seemed like she was on the mound and turned to throw him a slow, easy pitch. Oscar swung and missed. The ball hit the net behind him. "See, you blinked," cried Lourdes. "I didn't," protested Oscar. "What did the ball look like when it went by?" asked Lourdes. "I don't know, like a baseball?" said Oscar. "Which way was it spinning?" asked Lourdes. "What? How am I supposed to know that?" said Oscar. "By keeping your eyes open," said Lourdes. "Tell me honestly, what happens when you're at bat, Oscar?" "I get scared," said Oscar. "I'm afraid I'll miss. I hear a roar in my ears, and everything gets blurry. And I whiff, and every stinking time." "Then don't get scared," said Lourdes. "Easy for you to say," said Oscar. "Take 3 deep breaths," said Lourdes. "Imagine how awesome it's going to feel when you get a hit. And then watch the ball until your bat hits it, just like E.E. Smiley said." She reached into her pocket and came over to Oscar. "Also, let's prop your eyes open with these toothpicks." She snapped one in half and reached for Oscar's left eye. "Wait," protested Oscar. "You're making a joke, right?" The great no-nonsense Lourdes Mangibot is kidding around. "You never know with me," answered Lourdes, but she was smiling and Oscar knew she was teasing. "Just don't close your eyes. I'll keep the toothpick in my pocket in case." Lourdes walked back to her spot. "Now let's try again." Oscar took 3 breaths and thought about how awesome it would be to hit her next pitch and not to have his eyelids propped open with toothpicks, just in case Lourdes wasn't joking. Lourdes let her pitch go. Oscar waited and swung and saw his bat hit the ball and watched the ball fly over Lourdes's head into the trees behind her yard. It lodged in a tall one with tentacles. "Wow!" Oscar cried. "That's better," said Lourdes, after she wrested the ball away from the tree. "And now, if you can get Taser to throw you a fastball like that, you might even be able to blast a home run." "How?" asked Oscar. "When I hit it to the other side after I stopped time. While it was dangling in the air, the ball barely made it to the edge of the infield." "That's because the ball wasn't moving when you hit it," said Lourdes. "Watch carefully and hit this." She wound up and threw a smoking fastball. Oscar watched closely and met the ball with his bat. Blam! It ricocheted off like a meteor. It flew over the trees and disappeared. "How did I do that?" asked Oscar wonderingly. "You didn't. We both did. The momentum of my pitch plus the force of your swing added up to a shot over the trees. If you can get Taser to throw you a fastball tomorrow, then boom, Taser's Hummer will bounce right off your bat and take the ball over his head, over the wall, out of the park. How do I get Taser to throw the ball that hard? Asked Oscar. How do we even know Taser will be pitching? He's not supposed to. He's been on the mound the past 2 games in a row. His mom will figure out something. She always does, replied Lourdes. So you have to get the better of him. You need to make him mad. Act like you think you can hit his pitch. Act like you think you're as good as he is. It makes him furious. And when he gets angry, he gets careless, and he throws a fastball over the middle of the plate. You've seen him do it. I sure have, said Oscar. I guess I can act like I think I'm as good as he is, because I am as good as he is. Darn right, said Lourdes. And so Oscar Indigo, after the best batting practice of his life, figured out how to beat the Yankees. All he had to do now was figure out how to put the 19 seconds back. In the meantime, he thought it would be a good idea to fix as many of the things he'd wrecked as possible, starting with his mother's job. Mr. Rossini. Oscar left Lourdes's house and decided to make a quick detour on his way home, to Rossini's. It was still morning, so the restaurant wasn't open, but Oscar could see Mr. Rossini, old, gray, and as round as a croquet ball, inside at a table by the windows, sliding white napkins into gold rings. Oscar tapped at the window. Mr. Rossini waved him inside. Mr. Rossini, said Oscar, you should come to the big game tonight. Football? He asked, hopefully, in his thick Italian accent. No, said Oscar, baseball. Phew, said Mr. Rossini. In Italy, we laugh at that and then fall asleep. What a slow sport. But you might like it, persisted Oscar. I might, allowed Mr. Rossini. Though I never done before, after a pause he said, Hey, Oscar, I miss seeing you and your mama around here. I especially miss your mama singing. I wanted to talk to you about that, said Oscar. He pulled his phone out of his pocket. I have something for you to listen to. After leaving Lourdes's house, Oscar had racked his brain trying to figure out how to get those 19 seconds back. Perhaps, he thought, if he undid all the damage they had done, he could fix things. He didn't know how to fix that second son, but he could start small, by getting his mom a job to make up for the one she'd lost. Oscar played the recording he'd made of her sorrowful singing from the night before. The sad refrains filled up the quiet restaurant. This is quite beautiful, said Mr. Rossini. Oscar smiled and left Mr. Rossini lost in a reflective daze. Oscar was on a roll. Oscar was going to fix the universe.